how things have unfolded here since the news came of the devastation over there?
Sure. Actually, my first sort of real push on getting this onto my radar was the night that the typhoon was about to make landfall. I teach an honors globalization course here at the Mount, and we were doing CNN headlines with my students that night, and I brought to my students' attention, and I asked them, what's going on? And they're like, oh, there's a storm somewhere. And I said, it's a little bit more than that. I said, this is a storm that can no longer be categorized because it's gotten to the point where it's stronger than any of the rating scales. And I then pulled out some pictures to show them, and I showed them the differences in size between Hurricane Katrina and between this typhoon, and what that was going to look like. And I tried to get them a little bit to understand what the devastation, the implications of that devastation were. And we talked a little bit about death tolls, and one of my students said to me, she said, well, what happens to those people? The news is saying that because it's a more rural area, there's less people. And I said, yeah, you're absolutely right. I said, and that's a blessing. That's great that there are less people. But at the same time, that means that the areas that are being hit are the ones with no roads. They're the ones that already have rolling electricity and blackouts. They're the ones that already are lacking in infrastructure. And my student said to me, so what happens to those people? And I said, they die. And my class went silent. And it was sort of at that moment where I realized that as somebody in international education and as somebody in development, there was no way that we couldn't do something here on campus. That events will always happen. The world is always evolving and changing catastrophically, but something of this magnitude couldn't go sort of without our attention. So that's how everything began and everything started.
What's under motion now here?
The things that we're doing right now, and things are still evolving. As the crisis evolves, so does the response. One of the things we've been doing is we immediately set up an aid jar that's been in front of our main dining hall for the last couple of days. Students, faculty have been making donations, change, dollars, whatever they have. And as of right now, that money is going to be going towards Save the Children. And we had picked that organization basically because of the percentage of the direct service that they offer with our funding. So that's one of the things that we're doing. I actually have a friend whose fiance and entire extended family lives on Macloban Island, which is one of the islands that's been hardest hit by the typhoon. He just got there last night, so I've actually lost contact with him for the next couple of days until he gets himself a phone and gets himself back on the grid, because obviously there's no electricity, et cetera. And what we're going to be doing now is going to be fundraising directly for a group of families on that island. And that way 100% of those donations can be used directly by families who need it. Plus we can get more immediate updates. We'll be able to see, who's getting what, how our money is being used. And I'm hoping maybe that the campus can even see then, what their direct service has done as they watch things evolve and they watch that change.